Welcome in, episode 139, What's Right with Nick Wright, the podcast, YouTube show. Huge show today, fresh off a national championship. We'll get to the men's side of things shortly. We'll discuss some of the women's tournament, which was outstanding. But first, also a little housekeeping announcement. You have seen on this show my son, Damonza. He's been my co-host from day one. You have seen on this show my wife, Danielle. She is intermittently co-hosted. You've seen on this show our youngest daughter, Deanna. She co-hosted one time. Today, making her What's Right debut at the tail end of the show. With respect to my other children, my apologies, the most talented of my children and the most unenthusiastic about the family business, one Diora will join us as she will be taking over for Damonza for about 4 weeks. Starting next week, you will see her at the end of today's show. But before we get to that, let's get to what is not on today's show. Not on the show. Thunder fans still being so sad about Durant leaving. Durant left them in July 4th, 2016. 7 years ago. Endeavor acquires the WWE, and the Titans are considering trading up to the number 3 pick. But none of that's really on the show. What is on the show is some college hoops, and also, Damonza, do you know what week it is? Week? What starts day after tomorrow?
Second week after MLB opening day.
That is true, but do you also know what week it is?
What is it? Oh, is it draft? No, it's not draft week. What is it?
It's Masters week, buddy. Right before you leave, the Masters, the Green Jacket, Augusta National.
Oh, we are coming up on a year. That's funny.
Yeah, buddy. All of it. All right, Damonza, let's talk some college. Every weekend after the Final Four, the reason they can't ever move the Final Four is because CBS has the Final Four, and CBS, with Jim Nance's dulcet tones while he's leaving the Final Four, he'll never leave. Augusta National.
Are we still talking Masters?
Chirping.
Okay.
We will be talking Masters. All right, let's get to the show today. Go ahead.
All right, so UConn obviously crushed San Diego State.
Yep.
But the real story.
By the way, we realized there's a kid.
Yeah.
You went to basketball camp with
a very long time ago. He got a lot bigger.
Jaden Lee from San Diego State. Damonza said this morning, he was like, is the Jaden Lee kid from Houston?
I think it's Ledee.
Jaden Ledee. Pardon me. That's correct.
And I definitely went to a camp with him I feel like my freshman year of high school or something like that.
It was good for him. That kid turned into a baller. Go ahead.
But yeah, so the real story is obviously on the women's side, where LSU beat Iowa, and the most fun part of the tournament was Caitlin Clark talking her trash. Mm-hmm. But then she got a little bit of taste of her own medicine from Angel Reese. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts on how the moment was handled by the players and the media?
Okay, so first let me say something about the men's tournament because it ended last night.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the women's side of it. Props to UConn. It's their 5th title in the last 25 years.
Boring game.
Sorry. No, you're fine. More on that in a second because you're absolutely right. UConn now has a weird claim, like, are they amongst... In college hoops, you have the Blue Bloods, which are the programs that have essentially been good for decades, that have won a disproportionate number of titles. So you have UCLA, Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, Carolina, Indiana. Those 6 programs. But now UConn has as many titles as Indiana. Has way more titles in the last quarter century, in the last 30 years than Kansas. And Kansas has 2. They just won one last year, and they won in 07. Since 1988, they have 2, or 89. Kentucky obviously was historically great under Adolph Rupp, then was great under Rick Pitino, then was great under Tubby Smith, then was great under Calipari, but they have fallen off. Carolina had Dean Smith and Roy Williams and still is there, and Duke with Coach K was great for so long. UCLA's kind of been in a downslope, but they won a dozen championships with John Wooden almost. They had undefeated seasons, all of that. Indiana had Bob Knight. Now UConn, with 3 different coaches, has won 5 titles. Jim Calhoun, Kevin Ollie, And now Hurley. So credit to them. I don't know if it really makes them a blue blood program. I don't know if you can get new money. But Monty was talking about this into the blue bloods. But I think for young people, UConn is considered a far better program than Indiana. I don't think you thought of Indiana as some great basketball school, did you?
No, I knew that they were good. Like, I know that they're up
The
there.
history.
But yeah.
I think for young people, Gonzaga is considered,
Right.
You know what I mean, a more prominent program than Indiana is. But now to what you said about the game. Fact of the matter is this. Right now, the women's game at the collegiate level is better than the men's game. Because you don't have your best players turning pro. You do have the continuity. And the shot making and skill level of the women's game makes for a far more attractive product. And 10 million people watched that championship game. That is more than watched any game of the 2021 NBA Finals. I'm talking about the women's championship game. LSU scored 102 points in a 40-minute college game. Here's what I know about the viewing public. Is there a bias against women's sports? Yes. Will people watch, though, if the product looks awesome? Yes.
Yeah.
People watch women's tennis. Why? Are female tennis players, would the best female tennis player in the world lose consistently to the 10th best male tennis player? Yes, they would. The strength and the power and all that, there's just no overcoming it. However, men's tennis, because it became so much about who had the strongest serve, what is most attractive to watch on tennis is serve and volley. The serve, the return, the long points, the back and forth, right? Even Damonza, who's not a big tennis guy, picked that up when we were watching.
Yeah.
The men's game doesn't have nearly as much as the women's game. So the women's game, plus some big personalities, Serena, is obviously the forefront of that, propelled them to TV ratings alongside the men's. Now you go to women's college basketball. There is not the athleticism. There is not the level of physical dominance that you see in the men's game. But because there is not big money in women's professional basketball in the United States, these teams stay together. That you develop dynastic runs. You develop personalities. Caitlin Clark can be a National Player of the Year candidate as a freshman, and then as a sophomore, and then win it as a junior. You have what they were building in South Carolina, and people are into it. Yeah. And it was a hell of a product and a hell of a game, and what Caitlin did all tournament was remarkable. A 40-point triple-double in the Elite Eight, a 40-point performance against an undefeated, dominant South Carolina team, defending national champion in the Final Four, where she scored or assisted on every bucket in the fourth quarter. And then you run into LSU, who is Angel Reese, who was a unanimous All-American, who had 31 double-doubles this year, and LSU catches fire. There's some hard officiating that I think LSU was the better team, but it threw off the flow of the game entirely for both teams, and LSU wins. And it should be just one of the best weekends in the history of women's sports in this country.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was, and Caitlin Clark helped do that. South Carolina being the dominant kind of end boss, all of that. Unfortunately, as Damonza tweeted, because he had taken a nap, I just woke up to racism, was I think the tweet.
Yeah.
There was the reaction to the end of the game. So I will set the scene quickly for you. Caitlin Clark is an awesome ball player and a legit trash talker. If we're just going to do the white comparison, a la Larry Bird. Talks as much trash as anybody and backs it up. She talked trash to that Van Lith girl in the Elite Eight, did the "you can't see me" to her in the against South Carolina. Dared the girl to shoot. Told the Van Lith girl, shut up, you're down 15, the whole nine. Angel Reese at the end of the game does the "you can't see me" to Caitlin Clark, does the Steph Curry pointing at points at a ring finger, and people get very, very mad. Before I get to my thoughts or Damonza's thoughts, public service announcement here to our wonderful listeners, viewers. We're going to talk about this, and race is going to be a component of it. And if the discussion of race makes your head pop off like a cartoon mouse, pause the show and come back to us in a few minutes. If you're open to having, listening to an open discussion, stick with us. Damonza, why did you tweet, "I woke up to racism"?
So obviously I did take a nap during the game like an idiot, and all I did was I woke up and I saw I saw the clip of Angel Reese doing the same exact thing that Caitlin Clark did, and everybody hated it. Like in the words like the what was it, worthless or classless.
Classless. Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, man. And once I looked at the game and saw what actually happened, it wasn't the exact same thing.
Correct.
Angel Reese did kind of follow her around, made it a big deal. Wasn't the same thing, but definitely what she did was not warranted for the feedback that she got. Like the things that they were saying about this college female athlete was just crazy. Like, it's just not the...
So why did you, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot here, and because I've talked about this on TV, I agree with you on... Well, I haven't heard you talk about it entirely, so I don't know if I totally agree with you. Right. But you know where I stand on this. Why did you call it racism?
Because nobody said anything when Caitlin Clark did it. Nobody had a problem with it.
So here's the deal. And this is why I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't do that little public service announcement. We're going to talk about race, tune out. Yes. Because people shouldn't tune out. Because we've got to be able to have honest discussions about this. And that Iowa team is an essentially all-white team. And that South Carolina team, that was the defending national champions, that was undefeated, was essentially an all-black team. Same with the LSU team. The moment you have in sports an all-white team against an all-black team, there's a racial component to how the game is covered, to how the game is discussed, to how the game is viewed. And
it seemed like they wanted to say something else, man.
What do you mean?
Like in the comments and the quotes, like that guy from Barstool.
Oh, that guy.
It just seemed like they want to say so much more.
Of course, and he's got a long bad history. And that's a separate thing entirely almost. But let me get back to just even pre-taunt, okay? The dynamics here. There is a knee-jerk reaction in media to treating the white athlete like an unathletic underdog. This is not, by the way, my opinion. There have been university studies that have documented all of the commentary about draft prospects in the NFL and the adjectives we use to describe them. And white athletes consistently get described by earned attributes, smart, hardworking, those types of things. Black athletes get described by given attributes, talented, athletic, God-given abilities. There is an undercurrent, and that is, again, that's not my opinion. That is documented, studied fact that we have a long history of that. And you see it all the time in sports. A great white athlete gets called, faster than you'd think, sneaky athletic, coach on the floor, which means smart.
Sneaky athletics, the funny one.
You hear it all the time. I'll take one of the best athletes of the last 20 years. One of the most physically imposing freaks we've ever seen. J.J. Watt. They tried to turn into an overachieving underdog. J.J. Watt. The dude had 60 sacks in 3 seasons. Well, he had 3 separate 20-sack seasons in a 4-year stretch. Won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. His brother is a freak defensive player of the year. His younger brother's a fullback. My guess is they got some good athletic genes in that family. Produced 3 NFL players, 2 of which are potential Hall of Famers, one of which is no doubt Hall of Famer. Still, though, because he's white, you're described with, again, earned attributes. So how does this impact the LSU, South Carolina, or the Iowa, South Carolina, the Iowa LSU game? There's an element of we allow and encourage Caitlin Clark's swaggery nature in a way we normally wouldn't, because we are conditioned to look at her as the underdog. People, and by the way, I'll get real complicated, kind of real galaxy brain here. A similar thing happened with Steph Curry. And he's black, but he's not big and physically imposing. He's also light-skinned, and he was considered this guy of, and I know for a fact this really, really rubbed LeBron the wrong way, that Steph was considered the underdog story. When it's like, hold on, you mean the guy whose dad played in the NBA? The guy who, why? Because he went to Davidson? He's an underdog? I was damn near homeless growing up. Grew up with one parent who dealt with her own struggles, but because I'm big and imposing, you know what I mean? My ride here, and again, it's earned attributes versus given attributes. Oh, he had to work for his skill. I was just born with mine. Give me a break. Right. You see that in sports a lot, particularly when you have cross-race comparisons. So, America typically doesn't like arrogance. We like our athletes. We prefer false humility to honest arrogance. We prefer athletes who we know they're awesome, to just thank God, thank their teammates. Oh, wow, amazing to be here. We don't mind it quite as much when it's a white athlete, because subconsciously or consciously, many of us feel like, wow, they are the underdog. Because you just naturally think they're in a rougher spot. So that's why Caitlin Clark didn't catch shit for all the trash talking. But the moment it is not only a black woman doing it, a bigger, more physically imposing black woman, and she's doing it to a white girl, oh boy, folks get upset. Because you cannot convince me, if that were South Carolina there instead of Iowa, and Angel Reese did that. So here's the thing. Everyone's talking about this from the perspective of just you got mad when a black girl did it, not when a white girl did it. I'm here to tell you it is deeper than that. Because if South Carolina was in that game, not Iowa, and Angel Reese had done it to Aaliyah Boston, people would not have been as mad. It was not just that it was a black girl doing it. It was that it was a black girl doing it to a white girl. And people reacted like she was bullying. And nobody likes bullying. And I'm here to tell you, you know who didn't think she was getting bullied? Caitlin Clark. Because Caitlin Clark knows, man, I'm better than you. You got me. But I'm not worried. We are athletes. We are two of the best in the world at what we do. We're both first-team All-Americans. I don't need anyone protecting me. I don't need anyone pearl clutching for me. But the public does bad with that. I'm going to say one other thing where the media does bad. We probably don't need to amplify the assholes as much as we do. Now, I quote tweeted someone, but I quote tweeted another media member, guy that covers baseball for a living, who said Caitlin Clark's parents at least know they raised her right. That bothered me. Right. Like, give me a break. She was doing the exact, again, like you said, not the exact same thing. Go ahead.
One of the less unhinged takes, though.
Yes.
Like listen,
Keith Olbermann called her an a-hole, I think. Portnoy, who's out of his mind on a lot of stuff, was way out of line, and we all know it. So it wasn't a straw man. It wasn't, oh, this is just folks with 17 followers trying to inflame a race war. It was actual influential people being a part of it. But it was not the volume that probably a lot of us treated it as, to where it was the story. But then it becomes self-fulfilling, because then Angels asked about it. She talks about seeing it on Twitter. It becomes you know what I mean? Then it becomes a story.
The timing of it is also crazy, though, how Caitlin Clark, it's not like this is something that happened last year. Like,
No.
I don't even see how people could take to Twitter with the way that they were talking, given that Caitlin Clark did that same thing, like, 6 days ago.
6 days ago, and evidently I didn't see it, but did it at one point to her own bench, different against South Carolina. Forget against Louisville 6 days ago. Go ahead, sorry.
No, that was it. It's just...
No, it was right there, and it's who we were celebrating. There's a lot of odd dynamics with women's college basketball so Paige Buchers, I might have mispronounced her last name wrong, I apologize, who was the best player in the sport, plays for UConn, blew out her knee, but unbelievable from the moment she got there. She won a major award last year, and at her speech, she said, this is a sport carried by black women that white women tend to usually get these awards. And she was trying to say we need to make sure we shine a light on the great black female players as well. So it's complex in this regard. If you were to get, so it is women's basketball, not as much at the collegiate level as men's basketball, but if you were to get, it is still a majority black sport. But the greatest players of all time are disproportionately white. So, forget Caitlin Clark and Paige. Breanna Stewart might be the best ever. She's white. Diana Taurasi, once upon a time, was considered one of the very best ever. White. Sue Bird might be the best ever. White. Now you have Caitlin Clark. You have Paige. All that, right? Now, that's not to disregard Cheryl Miller or Cheryl Swoops or Lisa Leslie or Candace Parker, but it is... the 10 best players is a wider group than just the general kind of population of players. So why is that? That's a more complicated topic. But there is a level of simmering, animosity is the wrong word, but tension within the sport about who gets celebrated, who doesn't. If we're both A-plus players, so everybody now knows Caitlin Clark's name, that's in large part because she had one of the greatest tournaments ever. Aaliyah Boston won a national championship last year. Team was undefeated this year. She also does not look like Caitlin Clark, does not play like Caitlin Clark. There's a lot of factors here, right? And so my point is, it is never as simple as I think people try to make it out to be, even though this one, at its base level, was very simple. People got angry at the black girl, furious with the black girl for doing something very similar to what people celebrated the white girl for doing. You know, it was, go ahead.
Also, like, what's up with, like, the level of anger? Like, I just feel like some people's level of anger with certain things is just unacceptable, bro. Like,
well,
you don't have to be that angry about it, you know, to call somebody out of their name. It's not like it was in front of the sport. It's not like she dragged it.
No, two answers there. One is, I think social media inflames everything and people are on a 10 when they could be on a 5. I think the other one is this. There are a lot of people very angry about racial dynamics in this country. And there are people of all colors and creeds angry about it. There are white people who think the country is being stolen from them as if it was rightful claim of white people. And there are black people who feel like we are going in the wrong direction on very important racial justice topics. So when race comes into it, knowingly or unknowingly, people run hot, man. They run really hot. And the people they're talking about stop being people and start being symbols for what they're mad at. And they start being pawns in their bigger game of, you know what I mean, taking my country back, whatever it is. And that's, I think, what happened. Okay, you want to talk about the Warriors?
Let's talk about the Warriors.
Okay,
man.
let's do it. Go ahead.
The Warriors lost to a Jokic-less Nuggets over the weekend.
Yeah.
I said the Warriors winning the title would be the death knell for the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
You've written off the defending champs at this point in this season on back-to-back years.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're saying the Lakers are going to win the title.
Because they are. Yeah.
All right, so wouldn't the Warriors winning the title and Steph getting his 5th ring before LeBron be the actual worst thing that's ever happened to you in your career?
No.
I think it would be the absolute worst thing to happen to you in your career.
Well, these are two separate things.
That little ranker thing that we did a while back might have to get shifted a little bit.
Where are we moving?
I don't
Steph?
know where Steph is, but he's going up. Where was Steph at? Was he top 10?
He was 10th of the last 50.
10th?
So is he passing?
He was number 10 exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and who was 8 and 9?
Shaq. You jump past Shaq?
I think you just have to switch him and LeBron.
Okay, stop it. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
All right.
It is. Well, then let's just put Russell 1 and Kareem and Jordan 2. And we're just gonna count the rings. Magic's 3. Steph then ties 4. Magic ties him. That's all we're doing.
Count the people counting him out. He's down in the gutter right now.
He's not down in the gutter.
Arguably, this is like the same thing as LeBron's 2013 Cavs team or whatever. What Cavs team was it that he dragged to the finals or whatever against the Mavs?
Okay, in 2013, LeBron played for the Heat.
Okay, before that,
you're talking about against the Spurs in 2007,
where he had that team of nobodies.
That was the Spurs. LeBron was 22 in 2007. First of all,
he's got a dwindling Klay Thompson.
Okay, which is why they can't win the title. I got massive respect for Steph Curry. Him winning a ring does not all of a sudden catapult him to LeBron status. Okay. I'm not even having the argument. Okay. LeBron has 4 finals MVPs, Steph has 1. LeBron has 4 regular season MVPs, Steph has 2. LeBron has scored the most points of anyone ever. LeBron's a better defender. I'm not having that argument. That is not available to us on the take platter. Okay. The Steph greater than LeBron. Now, the reason I said it would be terrible for the regular season if the Warriors won the title, Andrew Wiggins is just gone for 2 months. Comes back for the postseason. The Warriors this year are 2-20 on the road against teams 500 or above. They've been a 500 team at every turn. If they end up winning the title, why would anyone care about the regular season ever again?
Right.
It has to matter.
You're saying it would suck for the sport.
For the sport. That's what I mean. It would just be like, okay, everyone can just chill all regular season.
Right.
It's 5 months that doesn't matter at all. That would be terrible for the sport.
Scott Foster enters the chat.
Right, that's the point that I was making there. Now, the reason I believe in the Lakers right now is they have number 1 defense in the league since trade deadline. Since the All-Star break, I think they're 14-6. AD is playing out of his mind. They have a rotation that makes sense. LeBron is ramping up. Now, what's really interesting is the Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, and Pelicans all have 38 losses. The Lakers actually control their destiny of those teams. If they win out, they get the 5 seed. Don't nobody want the 5 seed. The 5 seed plays Phoenix in round 1. The 6 seed plays Sacramento. Now, I believe in lighting the damn beam, but Sacramento's probably an easier matchup than Phoenix with Golden State. The 7 seed gets Memphis. The 8 seed gets Denver. But if you go to the 7 line, you're in a play-in tournament. You got to play an extra game and you can get eliminated. So everyone's going to want the 6. You can't really position for it, but the Lakers are winning the title. LeBron's getting to ring 5, and it is putting the GOAT debate to rest.
I believe in that. I really believe that if LeBron does get a title, it puts the GOAT debate to rest. But
now, you want to know, here's what you don't understand about media. Sorry to point at you and say things you don't understand. You want to know what's actually bad for my career? LeBron putting the GOAT debate to rest. That's actually bad for my career.
Oh, yeah.
It is in my interest for that to be a hotly contested debate as long as I'm doing media. It's not in my interest for everyone to come around and be like, hey, Nick was right. What's next?
So this is a lose-lose for you.
No,
if LeBron wins,
no, because if
definitely
LeBron
the GOAT.
but
if
I'm
Curry
telling you
wins,
right now, people won't call him the GOAT. If LeBron wins,
want a ring this year?
In year 20, people will say they'll find a way. People have just decided that it's not available to him after the Mavs series in 2011. Next, speaking of the Mavs.
Speaking of bad title picks.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Mavs. After an overtime loss to Atlanta, there are reports the Mavs might shut down Luka and Kyrie as a whole. The move would be to help ensure Dallas keeps their top 10 protected pick, but would also show they have no faith in Luka's ability to win. If they go down this path, is there any hope of saving the Luka Mavs relationship?
It's a bad. First of all, it's a bad pick by me.
Yo, I overheard you saying something about nobody can win with Kyrie. I don't know what was going on. You said nobody can win with Kyrie. It's like a plus-minus thing that I got sent.
Are they really good with him on the court?
No, they're really bad. Like, it's his versus Kyrie's.
Who's his? Luka?
Luka versus Kyrie. Luka Doncic is minus 22 on the Mavs. I guess Luka's been on the Mavs.
Can I see it?
Okay.
Can I see? Can I actually try to read
Legion
this?
Hoops or League Hoops.
Past 15 games, Luka's minus 20. They're minus 22 with Luka on the court. They're plus 62 with Kyrie on the court. So, yeah, the past 15 games I've been the best for Luka. My point on Kyrie is very, very simple. Kyrie in 2016 was the second best player on a champion. 2017, he was the second best player on an even better team. They just didn't win. But they had been to 3 straight finals. He demands out of that situation. Goes to Boston. His first year with Boston, they make the conference finals, but he does not play. He is injured in that playoff run. He then does play the next year. They lose in round 2. He demands out of there. He goes to Brooklyn. They make round 2. He gets hurt. The next year, he's there. They get swept in round 1. Then he demands out of there. He goes to Dallas. They are the 4 seed when he arrives. They are going to miss the playoffs. That is a 7-year downward trajectory.
So when when Kyrie first left the Cavs, after they won the finals with LeBron.
Well, it was the year after they won the finals. They had just lost to KD and the Warriors.
Is there something that I'm missing? Was there something going on with his contract?
No, he
just wanted to leave.
He wanted to run his own team.
Okay, I think Kyrie made one bad. I think he's threw a little tantrum, and then it's just went in a downward spiral ever since.
Well, yeah, he also went a little.
I think had he not left the Cavs, then none of this would have.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But he wanted to go run his own team. Instead, he went to Boston, and he'd walk into team meetings, and Brad Stevens would say to him, how are you doing today? And he would literally say to him, what does the word government mean to you? And then he would start talking about the earth being flat, and then he would start talking about,
society.
I'm not anti-vax, I'm just pro-freedom. And by the way, some of the stuff Kyrie does is really, really good off the court. Incredibly charitable. Really, really loyal guy, all those things.
What does government mean?
And just whatever. I don't think you can win with him. And I think the Mavs are stuck. They traded their best defender. They traded assets. He's their guy. It obviously doesn't work. Yeah, the day they traded for him, I said this will be in the first paragraph of the story when Luka eventually demands a trade. The Mavs have Luka Doncic has a chance to be one of the 5 greatest offensive players in the history of the sport. This season hurts him. Now, it should be noted, Akeem missed the playoffs in his prime. Kareem missed it back-to-back years in his prime. All-time greats miss the playoffs occasionally. in their prime. It doesn't usually happen. Kobe missed the playoffs once in his prime. It doesn't usually happen, but it does happen. But this is not good for him.
How funny would it be if Luka ended up going to play with LeBron?
Well,
Abandoned ship.
Bill Simmons
Especially
speculated that LeBron's going to go to Dallas.
That'd be
LeBron
tough.
and Draymond going to Dallas.
Disgusting.
Okay, all right, next.
All right, when it comes to MVP, I'm a little bit confused. So we got Giannis is the clear best player in the league. And just bullied everyone's pick for MVP.
Yeah.
Why are we not just giving the MVP to Giannis?
Well,
the last time he played the Nuggets was in January, correct? Or am I tripping?
The last time, well,
Giannis played the
I don't
the
know.
Nuggets.
I don't know the last time they played.
I thought I might have been looking at that wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
I mean, they'll only play twice a year because
okay,
it's
yeah,
cross-conference.
So it probably was.
So listen, my opinion on this is very simple.
Thank you.
Giannis and Embiid, what happened to them?
They played a week ago. I didn't know they played a week ago.
The
Bucks versus the Nuggets?
Oh, in a game Jokic didn't play, though, right? That's the game Jokic sat out, or am I tripping?
It was March 25th.
I could be wrong on that. Let me. Oh, they both played in that game? March 25th?
Yeah,
I'm
that's when
I'm out of my mind as well there. My apologies. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm getting Giannis and Embiid confused. Embiid sat out against Jokic. On the Nuggets beat the Bucks. I'm looking at it now. Giannis had a great game. Jokic had a great game as well. Yeah, and the Nuggets beat the Bucks. But set that aside. Here's the deal. Jokic is now sitting out games. He's won 2 in a row.
And they beat
what? Go ahead.
Beat the Warriors. That hurts his MVP debate.
I don't know if it should, but it does. They beat the Warriors without him. Everyone's like, that he's carrying this terrible team.
Say the Warriors suck on the road, so it shouldn't.
It's not nothing. I think it's right now down to between Giannis and Embiid. Giannis is the best player. However, if it is, we've gone so long, we don't have some more time on this. If it is a coin flip, giving it to the guy who's never won one is totally fine with me. And Drew Holiday came out and said, Giannis has been MVP too much, and people are bored of it, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But Giannis' second MVP, he benefited from that. Because in 2020, LeBron, the Lakers had the best record in the league. LeBron changed positions and won the assist title. Did all of that in the tougher conference at the time. And came in second because people have been sick of LeBron. LeBron already had 4. Giannis had just won 1. They gave it to Giannis. So now, if it's a coin flip between, call it a 3-headed coin, between Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic, Embiid's averaging more points per game this season than any center in 45 years. He's averaging more points per game this season than any player in 40 years other than Harden, Kobe, and Michael. He's never won one. Jokic has 2, Giannis has 2. Let Embiid win it. Take a quick break, come back. Also, by the way, put in your questions for me to ask Diora, for Diora to ask me, as my daughter Diora makes her What's Right debut in about 15 minutes. What's Right? All right, welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 139. We went 40 minutes in that first segment. I've got a busy day today. Leave here, do the herd. I don't host, but I go on with Colin. Then I do my show. Then I do Colin's podcast, doing just wall-to-wall media. Then I watch the Lakers win again. Maybe watch the Warriors lose to the Thunder. Oh, boy, what a night ahead. Also, by the way, the Lakers, this is such BS. Lakers play the Clippers, one of the biggest games of the year tomorrow. The Lakers play tonight. The Clippers will have not played since April 1st. The Clippers get 4 days off. The Lakers on a back-to-back before Game 80. Outrageous.
That's tough.
All right, next, Damonza, what are we talking about?
The new NBA CBA goes into effect starting next year, and there are some major changes.
Yeah.
Positionless, all NBA, 65-game minimums for award eligibility.
Yeah.
And in-season tournament highlight a few of the reported big the reported big changes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Even LeBron may be able to get another star now that teams can have 3 max players.
Well, that's a little
max contract?
No, so there's rules about how many guys on a super max you can have. You still have to fit it under the cap. It's complicated. It's to encourage teams that draft well to be able to max out all their guys. So that is, I'm trying to think of the team that is particularly good for, like the Cavs. So they drafted Garland, they drafted Mobley, they traded for Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's already on a supermax. Now you'll be able to max out those guys. There's some other things that are good for the Celtics. The raises you can give helps them maybe keep Jaylen Brown. All of that. The 65-game minimum for award eligibility I think is interesting. I do wonder if guys will sacrifice their overall averages. Like, let's say they're at 63 games and they want to rest the final 2 games of the year. Will they check into a game for 1 minute and check out so they get a game played, but then they get zeros across the board?
Right.
You know what I mean? So we'll see how that works. But the thing that kills me is the positionless All-NBA. There are 2 people in the world that seem to care about this, me and Bill Simmons. It's horrible for historical snapshots. So, I understand the idea behind it. So let me tell you the idea behind it. The idea behind positionless All-NBA is people were upset that last year, for example, or the last 2 years, Joel Embiid finished second in MVP voting and was not first-team All-NBA because the guy who finished first was a center, same position, Nikola Jokic, right? And people didn't like the fact that if we go back to, for example, the mid-2010s, when there were no centers in the league, guys like Andre Drummond, Al Jefferson were making All-NBA teams when great players were not because we didn't have enough good centers that it'd be a third-team center. That's why they did it. So now they're like, just have the All-NBA teams be the 15 best players. The problem is that ruins our ability to use this as a snapshot of each season, who was the best at each spot. So let me tell you why it's bad, then give you the solution. So there's no way to watch the early 1960s basketball, really. But I can go back at the All-NBA list. Wilt and Russell. Who was better that year? Well, in 60, they were the 2 best players in the sport for a decade, right?
Right.
Only one All-NBA spot. 1960, it went to Wilt. 61, it went to Wilt. 62, it went to Wilt. 63 to Russell. 64 to Wilt. 65 to Russell. 66 to Wilt. Went back and forth. Now, let's go to the mid-80s, right? So the mid-80s, you have Magic and Isaiah playing guard. So in 1985, for example, Magic and Isaiah, first team. Rookie Michael Jordan, second team. Was he better than Bernard King that year? I don't know who made first team at the forward. I don't know, but he wasn't better than Magic and Isaiah. The very next year, Magic and Isaiah again. Jordan was hurt. The next year, Magic and Michael. Isaiah, even though he's about to go on a run of 3 straight finals, relegated to the second team. 88, Magic and Michael again. Isaiah not on any of the teams. And now it's center, by the way. Akeem Olajuwon first team. Patrick Ewing second team. Simmons brought this up and he's right. Early 2000s. We have in the league playing power forward. Playing forward. Tim Duncan. Kevin Garnett. Chris Webber. Tracy McGrady. Dirk Nowitzki. Right? Who were the 2 best forwards? That matters. Well, in 02, 03, it was Duncan and Garnett. Dirk and C-Webb got relegated to second team. In 04, it was Garnett and Duncan. Again, in 05, it was Duncan and Dirk. Now LeBron's into the fold. Now the best forwards, we've got LeBron involved. Shortly thereafter, Kevin Durant comes involved. Well, so those 2 forward spots are just locked up every year. So I don't care how good you are, Blake Griffin. You're not better than Durant or LeBron. So here's the solution. Because third-team All-NBA has only existed since 89. First-team All-NBA, 2 guards, 2 forwards, 1 center. Second-team All-NBA, 2 guards, 2 forwards, 1 center. Third-team All-NBA, the 5 best guys who didn't make one of the first 2 teams.
Yeah.
That way, we still get the historical snapshot. You don't have the problem of a guy who's the 31st best player in the league, but the third best center stealing a spot. And we do it that way. Well, that's not how they did it. So I hate it. I know, again, I think it's only me and Bill Simmons who care, but I care a lot, and it bothers me. So, like, the other thing is, so Kobe, for a half decade, had a lock on first-team All-NBA. So that means all the other guards in the league, there's only one spot available. So who's it going to go to? So, like, 06, it's Nash. 07, it's Nash. 08, it's Chris Paul. 09, it's D. Wade. 2010, it's D. Wade. 2011, it's Derrick Rose. 2012, it's Chris Paul again. 2013, it's Chris Paul again. Then Kobe's done. Now just guards, right? 2014, Harden and CP3. Then 2015, Steph lays claim to a spot for a half decade. So who's going to be the other one? 2015, it's Harden. 2016, it's Russ. 2017, it's Harden and Russ because Steph got penalized because Durant was on the team. 2018, it's Harden and Lillard. 2019, it's Harden and Steph again. Also, the forward position. LeBron's got basically one first-team spot on lock for 12 years. So who's going to be the forward alongside LeBron? I'm going to do that real quick, then we can move on. Because starting in 08, LeBron was first-team forward every year. So in 08, it's Garnett. Relegated to second team is Dirk and Duncan. In 09, it's Dirk. Relegated to second team is Duncan and Pierce. In 2010, Durant comes into the league. Now Melo and Dirk are relegated to second team. 2011, it's Durant again. 2012, it's Durant again. 2013, it's Durant again. 2014, it's Durant again. 2015, Durant's hurt. It's Anthony Davis. Oh, AD popped up. 2016, Durant's healthy. LeBron's got one of those spots available. Is Durant first team that year? Nope. Kawhi Leonard took the spot. 2017, Durant's healthy. Does he have that spot alongside LeBron? Nope. Kawhi Leonard has it. 2018, Durant takes it back. 2019, LeBron gets hurt. Giannis steps into the fold. Now Giannis is first team every year. You laughing at me?
No, I mean this is a bit.
It's just this is how we can talk. It's important for the history of the sport. So 2020, Giannis locks up one of those forward spots. So now the question is, who's going to have it alongside Giannis? LeBron in 2020, Kawhi in 2021, Tatum in 2022. This year, probably Tatum again alongside Giannis. This stuff matters. It bothers me. Next.
Oh, I think that the fix that you provided, it's a good one.
It's a good fix. They should have done it.
All right. Many consider March Madness the best event in sports.
Yeah.
Even if you're a hater. There's only one way to determine the true number one postseason / tournament in sports.
Yeah.
With a bracket to unpack it. So we've got best postseasons-ish bracket is what we're calling it.
Oh, okay. I like it.
So there's probably going to be a graphic if you guys are watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
For those listening on the podcast, I will list them. So 1 through 8.
Yeah, so here they are.
Yeah.
It's seeded as following: NFL playoffs, March Madness, World Cup, NBA playoffs, the Masters, college football playoffs, Wimbledon, and then number 8 is the World Series, which I assume means the World Series of poker, because the World Series, we don't talk baseball on this show.
This guy just cooked me.
So who cooked you?
Yeah, so I think we're yeah.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about it. So it's 1 versus 8. So the producers did a very interesting thing. Initially, they had the 1 seed as the Super Bowl. They smartly changed it to the entirety of the NFL playoffs, which does complicate things a bit. But the NFL playoffs obviously beats the World Series of poker. I love the Masters. The Masters is only 4 days. The NBA playoffs is the best 2 months on the sports calendar. So then we have the NBA playoffs on one side of the bracket against the NFL playoffs. These should be the top 2 seeds. They should be meeting in the finals. Let's go to the other side of the bracket if we can.
March Madness and World Cup.
No, and
I mean, in college football.
No, just look at the screen, buddy. March Madness against Wimbledon.
Yeah, no. I was just saying the winners.
Oh, I got you. Oh no, Wimbledon.
Yeah, no. That's what I. Yeah, I see why
enjoy Wimbledon far more than I enjoy March Madness.
Okay.
I do. It's a higher level. It's a higher quality. It's the best in the world. It's not a bunch of missed shots. San Diego State had like 12 points at the under 8 yesterday. Give me a break. Wimbledon. And I like the World Cup more than the college football playoff, but it's only every 4 years. We'll still advance the World Cup. So now, our semifinals are the NFL playoffs against the NBA playoffs, America's games, and Wimbledon against the World Cup, the world's games. This is a tough one. But my favorite 2 months of the year are the ones that are starting in 2 weeks. We're advancing the NBA playoffs. Okay. Here's the deal with the NBA. The NFL regular season is far superior to any other regular season by a mile. But there are only 13 playoff games. By the way, in any single elimination tournament, do you know, everybody out there, any single elimination tournament, do you know how to determine how many games are played? So like March Madness has 68 teams. How many games are there? Do you know?
March Madness has 68 teams.
68 teams. So how many games do you think there are? Keep
30,
this in mind. Stop. The NFL playoffs has 14 teams. There's 13 games. However many teams there is one less game. You know why? Everybody's got to lose once, except for the champion. So for however many teams, if you have a 128-team tournament, you know how many games you're playing? 127. If you have an 8-team tournament, if it's single elimination, how many games you're playing? 7. Because everybody's got to lose once. That's the answer there. The NFL playoffs.
Does that have anything to do with sin, cos, tan?
Sine, cosine, tangent? I don't think so, but I'm not a geometry guy. So I do like that you call
geometry,
it sin.
Definitely.
So NBA playoffs beat the NFL playoffs. The World Cup beats Wimbledon. And we have the NBA playoffs against the World Cup, and the NBA playoffs are winning. Just 2 months of greatness every single year. That's my winner. My champion's the NBA playoffs. I would have had the NBA playoffs meeting the NFL playoffs in the finals, but these bracketologists way overseeded March Madness. Give me a break. Way overseeded March Madness. And we are, yeah, there it is. It's the NBA playoffs. All right, listener questions for me and making her What's Right debut, Diora. That's next. What's Right? Welcome back in episode 139, What's Right with Nick Wright. So, for loyal viewers and listeners, you know Damonza moving to LA 10 days from now. Apartment locked in, job locked in, job's been locked in, working for Fox. He will continue doing the podcast from LA once football season gets going, maybe a little before then. But as you guys know, there's a family business. One member of the family has not been on the show before. I'm not being loud, Diora. This is high energy. This is something your brother struggled with for months and something you are going to learn. This is Diora, my middle child. Once upon a time, I publicly called her my favorite child. She has lost that designation.
Oh.
I mean, it is, let me rephrase it. It's up in the air. Your brother's done such a wonderful job with this last year. He's been so helpful and so eager to do it. You, on the other hand, I had to twist your arm to be a part of this as your bridge project for school. You don't remember what? What do you not remember?
I think you're making things up, actually.
What do you think I'm making up?
You never asked me to do this before.
Oh, that... Okay, so you're just starting
never happened.
Your broadcast career with a lie. That's how you want to start. I understand that you're an actress.
Oh,
and
okay.
so Diora's a theater major. She'll be going off to college next year. So this will be wonderful time for us to spend together. You were sitting there watching the YouTube stream, reading the comments. Well, before we even get to those comments, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure.
Okay, go
How
ahead.
do I look?
Just look at me. Just keep talking to me.
So, my name is Diora Wright.
Mhm.
I'm 17 years old
Mhm.
and I'm going to college this year. And I'm going to be doing the podcast for like the next month or so.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit more than a month.
Mhm.
But yeah.
What are your interests? Likes, dislikes?
Okay, so I like hang out with my friends. I dislike my father. Um, let me think.
Are you a big sports fan? People want to
No,
know.
I'm not.
Do you play any sports? People want to know.
I play volleyball on occasion. Wow.
I mean, you're in the arts. The
What does that
athletic.
have to do with literally anything?
Well, not everyone can have everything. Your brother, terrible
I'm
actor.
on track.
Yeah.
I'm on track. I did volleyball this year.
That is true. That is true. But I wouldn't, if we were describing you to the audience,
Shamed.
athlete was not the first thing that would come to mind.
Well, yeah, I didn't bring up sports. You did.
Do you watch any sports?
I watch basketball.
Diora's into basketball, likes going to Nets games.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is why it's good. You're going to be a part of us when the NBA playoffs are starting. You and I are going to be able to watch a ton of basketball together.
Oh, so
See, you
fun.
weren't. You don't sound excited about it. Your brother wasn't excited about watching football with me. Ended up being one of his favorite things. Do you think you will gamble on the sports the way your brother has?
No,
No, you won't gamble on the sports.
no,
Okay. All right, you ready to answer some listeners? Is there anything else you want to say?
no. I'm all good.
Diora is real quick. You're going to college to major in theater,
Acting for stage and screen.
right? And so one of the reasons she's doing this is because it gives
Because
you
I was forced.
screen presence, interacting in front of a camera,
okay.
things like that, right?
Right.
Okay. From Anthony Phillips, Diora, what's your favorite role you've acted in? Any role in the future you want to play?
I think one of my favorite roles that I've played is I recently did the play named Amelie, and I played Elton John in this musical. And it was just like a small snapshot, but it was my favorite song that I've sang before. And one musical I've always wanted to do is Rent. And I've always wanted to be either Maureen or, yeah, Maureen. Yeah.
Question. Can we tack your Elton John solo onto the end of this show? Can we do that?
Whoa. I don't know about that.
All
That
right,
seems like a later thing.
Maybe a later thing. Diora crushed it as Elton John. Did great. Why
You sound like the Frosted Flakes guy when you said that.
the Tony the Tiger?
They're great.
Okay,
you know?
thank you. Appreciate that. Shane Coates asks, is Nick the same on and off the show? Or just
Unfortunately,
a little
yes.
bit acting different? How is he?
Unfortunately, yes. He's just as loud. It's a little bit of acting. He tries to be cooler around his audience, but I guess you could say he's kind of the same.
What do you mean try to be cooler around my audience?
Try to like just act like, oh no, it's all fine. Like, guys, I know what I'm talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about all the time, but that's okay. That's okay. None of us can be perfect.
When I'm talking about this stuff, I know what I'm talking about all the time. That's my job, is to be prepared, buttoned up, to be the expert.
Okay.
There's two ways to get into my field. You either lived it or you loved it. If you lived it, you were a pro athlete that can be like, this is what's happening in the locker room. Here's what the coach is saying. If you loved it, you learned everything you could about it, and you become an expert opinion.
Okay.
Tim G asks, do any of your friends ever find out who Nick is and want to meet him or talk to him?
It wasn't really much of a thing until more recently, but most of the kids at my school do know who he is, and it's just like the casual, like, passing in the hallways, like, tell your dad I said hey, or tell your dad that I think blah blah blah, or tell your dad he should come to our basketball game on Friday, stuff like that, but it's never really anything serious until it's like something I post on Instagram or something, and some random stranger's just like, yo, can I meet your dad? I'm like, no.
Let me read another one of these here. This is from Matthew Cook. Diora, what skills are you hoping to get from being a part of the show? Like, what do you have to report on for school?
So for school, for my bridge project is what it's called. It's like student run projects kind of. I told them that I was doing the podcast to learn how to gain like a screen presence and be able to put my name out there basically.
All right, question from me.
Mm-mm.
Are you going to read the comments post appearance?
Of course.
I would strongly say you shouldn't.
Well, right.
I don't. Here's the thing. I think most people. Here's my opinion. The vast majority of people will be nice. You will disregard all of the people who are nice, and then the select few
Constructive criticism.
who are mean. It will not be constructive. It will be hateful, directed towards me, and you will be shrapnel for it. Also, to someone, the handful of people who wrote, Gus most notably, Nick, do you do this just to prove you're down for the cause? So by that, I assume the cause, they mean black people, and to prove I'm down for it. So here's the thing. This is my goddamn family. So there's no, like, I'm not bringing play actors. Dior doesn't leave and you go somewhere else. This is my. You guys have met my wife, my youngest daughter, my oldest son, and now my middle daughter. Let me read a couple more of these and then we'll move on. Because, by the way, our YouTube comments typically are quite nice, but
I was reading them. I know.
Were there any comments you saw earlier from me and Damonza that you wanted to chime in on?
No, I'm good.
No, you're good?
They know who they are.
All right, Justin Dubale asks, they're just getting to know you, and then we'll do, when Dior is in the seat full time, we'll do more straightforward shows, but this is a good introductory. Justin Dubale says, what's your biggest pet peeve when it comes to your dad?
Ooh, that's a good one. Do I have to pick one?
You know what? Let's just see where you take it. Go ahead.
One of my pet peeves... I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Go ahead.
He spends like an hour on the toilet.
Oh my God. Okay, maybe you weren't allowed to say that.
Well,
it's a hell of an introduction.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what? That's my introduction.
What? Okay.
And then
All right.
another
What's
one-
your next one?
Another one is how you're always right on everything.
Well, I understand why that's frustrating.
Sometimes he's not, and he doesn't know if he's right yet, so he gains that, like, he's like, I know it. Even if he doesn't actually, but he just...
Didn't I come to you in the kitchen just the other day and say, hey, that thing, I don't even remember what it was, that we were discussing the other day, I was wrong and you were right on, and you kind of looked at me like I was crazy, like, why are you telling me this? And I was like, I think it's important to acknowledge when you're wrong.
Yeah, and it was so passive-aggressive.
It was not passive.
It
What do you mean?
was so passive-aggressive. I feel as if it's important when I tell you when I'm wrong, because it doesn't happen that often.
Well, I did say it doesn't happen that often.
So,
but
no.
this is a skill here's the thing, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. That I'm always right, even when I'm wrong, I believe I'm right. You got that exact trait from me.
And you get mad.
Well, because you're not right as often as I am. You're
my
17.
God.
You haven't you understand? You don't have the wisdom of years in front behind you. It's all. I mean, listen. There are so many things, and I think the audience will see it. So Dior thinks I'm annoying and whack and all these things. She also adores me.
Who said that?
However,
I never said
so many of your best and least best, we'll call it, traits, you got directly from me.
I wouldn't give yourself that much credit.
You wouldn't?
No.
Okay, somebody asked, can you gamble at 17? You can't, but she turns 18 in 3.5 weeks, which is a wild situation. 18th birthday coming up, prom coming up,
Yep.
graduation coming up.
All in the next, 3 months.
All in the next 3 months. Your national television and podcast debut. You know, sometimes these shows are on FS1.
Oh, really?
They broadcast them overnight.
You never told me that.
Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe you can get your SAG card early. All these things. This is going to be great. Scoot. By the way, I call her Scoot.
Don't.
What?
That's not allowed.
Okay, well, I'll do my best. But if I refer to you as that, I want them to know who it is. Can I have a hug? This is wonderful. This was so special for me. This was great. Oh, Damonza's taking a picture.
Bro.
This is so great. Aren't you happy? I'm so happy right now. Now, everyone in the family's been on the show. You're going to be amazing at this.
He's gonna make a speech about this at dinner.
What do you mean?
Your little guys, I just want everyone to know that I really appreciate all of you guys, and this past week it just really warms my heart.
I do give sentimental dinner toasts.
But it's not a toast. He just decides, like, every once in a while he just wants to do like some just like random, just like dad, like really hardcore dad moment.
Isn't that nice? Don't you think you're going to think back on that when you're older and be like, my dad really loved me?
I think I'm definitely going to think back on it, but I don't know if that'll be what's going on.
What's right? Episode 140 Thursday. Dior will be here. Damonza 2. See you guys then. Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego, and Damonza's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And your audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that, check it out. Appreciate y'all.